I put a $3,000 hotel suite on my own employee account for a man who could fire me with one call. I told two strangers to take their hands off him, or I'd light them up with cops and cameras, and by sunrise I realized I'd stepped into a war I didn't even know existed. Yeah, that happened. It was past midnight at the Longhorn in Austin, my feet screaming in those black heels, the bar soft with jazz, and the smell of citrus peels when Trent nodded at table 14 and mouthed, "Overserved," like that made it classy. The man slumped there, wore a charcoal suit and the kind of watch that glints even in low light, and everyone knew his name without admitting they did. Cole Whitaker, the developer, who could tilt property values with a press conference. He tapped his empty glass, asked for another pour of the 25-year, like it was water. I set a glass of actual water down instead, and said gentle but firm, "You'll thank me tomorrow for the drink I didn't pour." He squinted at my name tag, Nora, then laughed with that tired, broken sound people make when pride and pain sit at the same table. "Common sense," he said. "Fine, you win." His phone was shattered. His card wouldn't run. The night manager wanted a payment or a miracle, so I did the dumb, brave thing I do sometimes and said, "Put the room on my account. I'll sort it out." And in the elevator, he leaned on the mirrored wall, studied me like I was the soberest thing in his night. "You have kind eyes," he said. And then in the suite, out of nowhere, I lost everything today. Board vote merger, a hostile move that carved up the company his father built unless he found 180 million in 60 hours. The legacy was gone, impossible, he said. And I told him the kind of truth you only learn while hustling 3 jobs and raising a kid. I have to believe it's not impossible or I'd never get out of bed. He nodded, like that sentence was a blanket I left him with water, and the world's heaviest silence went back to the bar, took the looks from Trent. "You put a suite on your own card. Are you crazy?" And closed out the shift with the kind of small talk that keeps you from crying. Outside, the night had that glossy humidity that makes the city lights smear. My neighbor texted that Maddie had a nightmare, but settled, and that's when I saw them near the curb. 2 men in dark jackets dragging a third toward a black SUV. Not hotel security, wrong shoes, wrong energy, and then my stomach dropped, because the man between them was Cole. "Let me go," he said. "Orders from the board." One of them answered like ice. My body moved before my brain did. I started recording. Lifted the phone high like a siren, "Mr. Whitaker, are you okay? Identify yourselves right now or I'm calling security and APD. You know what I mean?" My voice sounded bigger than I felt. The taller one told me to mind my business, and I said my business is literally this business. Take your hands off him. And maybe it was the camera, or the fact that cowards hate witnesses, but they let go in a clean, practiced motion, slid into the SUV and peeled off. Cole took one step, and his knees just gave. I got under him enough to slow the fall. The night guard met us halfway, and 5 minutes later, we were in a side room, breathing the same exhausted air. "Do we call the police?" the manager asked. "No," Cole said, jaw like a locked door. That was a message from someone who thinks I'm easier to move than a number in a spreadsheet. I got home in a ride he insisted on, slept 3 hours, poured Maddie's cereal, while she told me orange juice is an acceptable substitute for milk. It is not. And clocked in at the law office where my desk plant lives on fluorescent light. Late morning, my phone lit up with a number I didn't know Nora speaking. "It's Cole," he said, and then he did the thing rich people do when they're trying to be good and still learning the edges. He admitted he pulled my number from hotel records, apologized without dressing it up, and asked me to meet him for breakfast at the Blue Hen near Maddie's school. I said yes because my better judgment sometimes sounds a lot like fear in a button-down. He looked like a whole different species at 7 a.m. Clean-shaved charcoal suit that probably came with a security detail and no small talk. "I want to hire you 90 days personal executive assistant. $20,000 a month and a $50,000 bonus at the end." childcare covered, class schedule protected. I laughed, because sometimes you have to let sound out of your body before your brain explodes. Why me? I asked, and he said, because you did the hard thing with no roadmap, and because my circle is compromised, and because these next 60 hours decide whether I save the thing my father built or write its obituary. I told him I needed a real contract, time carved out for my daughter. Boundaries, no weird surprises, he nodded then. That night he came to my apartment, with Italian takeout, and the kind of urgency that leaks out of people whether they want it to or not. He set a laptop on my wobbly table and played grainy CCTV. Trent at the bar, my shift lead with the smirk, tilting a bottle, palming something clear into Cole's drink. While his back was turned, he drugged me, Cole said. Without theatrics, and when I could barely stand, they planned to move me, yeah. That chilled me. I asked about the police, he said. Not yet. Then he put a folder on the table like it weighed a century old. Trust paperwork, a private investigator's report from decades ago, copies of birth records, the kind of paperwork that smells like secrets. Dane Mercer, CFO, new board chair, architect of the takeover, is my half-brother, he said. My father kept tabs and planned to tell us, then he died before he could, so the motive shifts from greed to blood, from victory to birthright. And I said the thing that got me the job in the first place. I think you're overcomplicating it. Call him meet in a place that's public but private. Show the documents, stop the war, offer something real. He didn't love it. Simple is scary when you spent your life proving you're the smartest guy in the room. But the clock didn't care, so I called Dane myself. Used my name so he'd actually show 4 o'clock at the conservatory, where power people confess things over perfect stakes. Dane arrived early, suit, sharp eyes, sharper. I didn't realize this was a group project, he said. Miss Alvarez is my assistant. She stays, Cole answered. And there it was. A small sentence with a lot of trust inside it. We didn't give speeches, just paper. Dane read, turned a page back, traced a date with one finger, closed the folder, and asked flat to keep it from shaking. What is this, the truth? Cole said. We share a father I didn't know until yesterday. I stepped in because that's my lane, not bulldozing, just shifting the light. If this were only strategy, we wouldn't hand you documents. You can verify in a day. We wouldn't sit this quiet this long. He looked at me like he was measuring whether I was real then. Cole asked for a pause verification. And if it's true, equal partners. No poison pills, no back doors, we build the legacy instead of burning it on the way to a headline. You think I walk away from a win, Dane said, and Cole answered, I think you change what a win looks like. We got 48 hours of standstill. Lawyers' labs a safe deposit box key that actually fit. And at hour 46, Dane called It's Real, the pause holds. Let's write something that makes this city better instead of louder. And I swear I didn't breathe for a full minute. 6 months later, I stood in an office with a river view reading grant proposals for tech hubs on the east side. My badge said, Director of Community Partnerships, which is a fancy way to say, I get to move resources where power forgot to look. The boardroom felt different now. Cole and Dane argue like brothers and vote like men who remember people work under their decisions. And when the meeting ended, Cole asked me to stay. He looked nervous. In a way money can't fix, these months have been the first time I haven't felt alone in a room built for me. Dinner with me tonight. Not as colleagues, as Cole and Nora. He said it simple. I said yes, just as simple. And later on a patio under string lights that smelled like basil. He asked about Maddie's volcano, and I told him we made it erupt with glitter because regular lava is too shy for a science fair. We laughed like our bodies finally put something heavy down. Do I think I did the right thing that first night? Stepping in, recording strangers, risking a job I couldn't afford to lose. I do now. Some lines don't draw themselves until someone with shaking hands holds the pen. I held it, The line still got drawn, but I know not everyone sees it that way, you know what I mean? So tell me your honest take in the comments. Would you have stepped in on that curb, or does the paycheck you need make you look away? Does money change what we owe each other, or does it only change who gets believed when the cameras finally turn?